10 years, is this idea of combining the Arlington Fire Department with another organization has been going on for years. It just about 3 years ago really took the next step, and the city started having some really serious discussions about it. And those initial discussions, I'll kind of give you some history. Those initial discussions in 2017 were with the Marysville Fire District and what's called referred to as Snohomish County Fire District 12, which is a lot of the unincorporated area around Marysville. And we run, as an organization, we run the most amount of mutual aid. We get the most help and we provide the most help to Marysville. So it was kind of a logical partner at that point. Those discussions went on really the bulk of 2017, and the city pushed away and left the table in December of 2017 because they just felt it wasn't in the best interest of the city of Arlington to continue. It was clear that as the governance model was being formed, that Arlington was not going to have much of a voice in that organization. So it wasn't in our best interest. A few months after that, the mayor asked me to reach out to North County Fire, which is our neighbor to the north, which is at this point the second organization that we provide and receive the most amount of aid to and from when we're busy or they are busy, and to just start a discussion with Chief Cermak to see if they have interest in having this discussion. They've been a rapidly growing organization. I have a video that I'll kind of show you at the end of this discussion, but Fire District, or the North County Regional Fire, is a consolidation of what used to be Fire District 18, which is the Bryant area, Fire District 14, which was historically the Warm Beach area, and the city of Stanwood has joined that. So it's those three entities that have come together. So Chief Cermak and I met for really the bulk of 2018 and kind of talked about different things we could do in collaboration that would be in both of our best interest. And from those discussions, we jointly employ a medical services officer that oversees the EMS programs in both departments. We share a fire marshal that oversees plan review, building construction, fire prevention in both communities, and a community resource paramedic that goes out and visits some of our high utilizers in the area to try and reduce the redundant 911 calls for things that we can eliminate. So we currently share those three positions. So then in 2020, the city really entered into serious discussions with North County about, does it make sense for us to fully consolidate the two agencies? So 2 Arlington City Council members and 2 fire commissioners from North County, as well as with an attorney that kind of specializes in forming regional fire authorities. And that group, along with Chief Cermak and I and Paul Ellis, city administrator, that group met about 16 times throughout 2020 and worked through what this would all look like as far as financials and governance and whose equipment would become whose, all those different things. And we reached a point that, yes, this does make sense. So we're now ready to put this in the hands of the voters to say if they support it or not. And it's something I'm excited about. I think it's really the right thing to do. I'll be honest, I have a little bit of sadness over this. I mean, the Arlington Fire Department is a 115-year-old organization. We were founded in December of 1905, and we're a very prideful organization. So I am a little saddened that we're leaving that, but I think looking ahead for the next 100 years, this is definitely the right thing to do. So I'm excited about it. And so I've got Dave, if you can share if I can share my screen, I've got a kind of a PowerPoint that I'll go through. And then if time allows here at the end, I've got just like a 4-minute video we produced. Because in a pre-COVID world, I would be hitting every organization I could, like Rotary Today, every homeowners group, chamber, DABA, anybody that would give me 15 or 20 minutes to talk to them, I would be hitting them. A lot of the groups are just not meeting in this environment. So in an effort to reach everybody, we produced like a 4-minute video with the goal that if someone knew nothing about our proposal, they had no idea what this was, they could watch this, and when they got their ballot in the mail, they could cast a vote with a pretty good idea of what we're trying to do. So if time allows, I'll show that at the end.
You can share your screen.
Everybody see that? So this is about 20 slides I'll go through for a few minutes. So this is just the opening slide, just a photograph of one of our vehicles and a North County vehicle and 2 of our employees. That's Willie Harper, long time on the left there. Willie Harper's a long time Arlington person, and he works for us here at Arlington Fire, and he's the volunteer fire chief up in Oso, actually. And
I'm not seeing it, Dave. Is anybody else seeing it?
What's that?
I'm not
seeing it.
Oh, let me see. Why is this not working here? Bear with me here a sec. How about that? Good, great. Okay, so that is Willie and Joel there on the front. So a little history. So the Arlington Fire
We're
Department
still seeing your desktop.
serves a
We still
little
need
over
to start your
20,000 people.
PowerPoint.
We're just seeing your desktop right now, Chief.
How about that, AJ?
Nice job.
Good. Okay. Technicality of having two screens. So the Arlington Fire Department serves a little over 20,000 people was our last census. We respond to about 5,000 calls per year. And we are one of only 3 remaining city-run fire departments in Snohomish County. And that's something important I want to talk about is there have been a lot of communities like Arlington over the last really 20 years that have reached this decision where we are today, that is this the best model to continue to provide fire protection. So you look at similar sized communities like City of Snohomish, City of Lake Stevens, City of Monroe. All of those cities have reached this point where they're like, you know what, it doesn't make sense for us. There's a smarter way for us to provide fire and EMS to our community. So the 3 remaining city-run fire departments are Arlington, Everett, and Mukilteo. If you've been following the news at all, the city of Everett is right behind us, and they're looking to, they're in early discussions using the same consultant we did to annex or to combine the Everett Fire Department with the Snohomish Fire Department, which is referred to as Snohomish County Fire District 4. They share a border out in kind of the area around the trestle. So we provide high quality fire and EMS services for residents and businesses. We provide fire suppression, fire prevention, emergency medical services, which includes advanced life support, which is paramedics, and basic life support, which is EMTs. The city of Arlington is struggling to fund fire and emergency medical services. And this decision that impacts the budget this is what's been taking place for like 10 years is there a smarter way for us to do that? The general fund funds things like police, roads, parks, trails, and other community facilities, as well as fire. I operate with 2 budgets. I have a fire budget and an EMS budget, and the general fund funds my fire budget. So costs outside the city's control are increasing faster than the revenue available to provide these services. And fire and EMS is the most expensive services that comes out of the city's general fund. Fire and EMS costs alone exceed all property tax revenue that the city collects without the EMS levy and an ambulance utility fee that allows the city to fund other services. Back a few years ago, those of you that live in the city limits may remember that the city council enacted an ambulance utility fee. And that was developed as a stopgap. We knew that was not a permanent solution, but we needed a funding model for EMS for the next few years until we figured out what we were going to do. So that ambulance utility fee, Paul, jump in here with me because I may mix up the dates, but we enacted the ambulance utility fee in the fall of 19. 18
yeah, started, for 2019.
2019. Right. So if you're a city resident and you have a utility hookup, you pay $15 per month that goes to support EMS. This is kind of a 10-year projection that Kristen Garcia, our finance director, put together. 10-year projection of the city's ending fund balance without annexing the fire and EMS. And the thing I'm really excited about is we are being really proactive with this decision. We didn't reach a point where we are in the red and now we're in kind of a really bad situation. We're looking ahead a few years and we realize, looking out 3 to 5 years, we need to make this decision now before we reach this point where we are in a deficit. So by 2024, 2025, we are really going to be in, for lack of any other word, a dire situation to how do we fund fire and EMS. So as emergency services costs continue to increase, the city is asking voters to annex the Arlington Fire Department to the North County Regional Fire Authority, also known as North County Fire and EMS. The annexation will protect emergency service levels, and it leaves revenue for other city services that contribute to the quality of life. And that could be things like enhancing parks, some minor road improvements, those sorts of things. So current funding. So currently, fire and EMS is funded through general property tax, and about 65% of the property tax that the city collects goes towards fire and EMS, as well as a voter-approved EMS levy, and a few years ago, we enacted the ambulance utility fee. So currently, property owners pay a property tax levy to the city for fire and EMS and other services. They also pay an EMS levy, and all utility customers pay the ambulance utility fee. As I mentioned a moment ago, the ambulance utility fee was designed as a temporary funding model until another funding model or annexation could be found. So annexation will reduce the city's property tax levy and repeal the ambulance utility fee and EMS levy. And I really hope that when voters cast their ballot here in a few weeks, the city council enacting the ambulance utility fee was really, there was a lot of opposition to that in the community, and there was a lot of backlash that the city felt when that happened. So I hope that when people cast a ballot here in a few weeks, they read that and they go, okay, the ambulance utility fee is going away. Because part of the feeling was that was council imposed, it wasn't voter approved, but the city did it legally, how the legislature created the language for it. To enact an ambulance utility fee, it doesn't have to be voter approved. The governing body can enact it. But some of our community felt that wasn't fair. So I hope that they look at this and go, okay, I don't like the ambulance utility fee, so this is a good thing. Because in the 2021 and 22 budget, the city operates with a 2-year fiscal budget. And in the budget they approved for the next 2 years, just 4 to 6 weeks ago, in 2022, so a year from now, that ambulance utility fee is set to double from $15 a month to $30 a month to fund, because we have to add, with the growth that's occurring in the community, we will establish a second basic life support unit. So an additional basic life support unit with two people on that each day. So that increase in the ambulance utility fee will go to fund that. So what is a regional fire authority? A regional fire authority is a special purposing district with independent taxing authority, formed by 2 or more fire protection districts located within reasonable proximity to each other, and is created by a cast vote of its residents. So we're looking to combine, as I said, North County Regional Fire is 2 fire districts that merged back in 2008, and the city of Stanwood joined 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're their neighbor to the south. The video will kind of compare the 2 agencies a little bit, so you'll get to see that. And only city residents will vote in this. So the way that the North County Regional Fire Authority's charter is written is that their members, their citizens will not vote for us to join. It's just city residents voting to join the RFA. So North County Regional Fire Authority, also known as North County Fire and EMS, serves North Snohomish County and the city of Stanwood, includes the communities of Bryant, Freeborn, and Warm Beach. It was one of the first regional fire authorities formed in the state of Washington back when Fire District 14 and 18 combined, and the city of Stanwood joined in 2018. So we're very similar. If you compare the 2 agencies, we're very similar in a lot of ways, except geography that I'll touch on. So our population is about 20,600. Their population throughout their entire district is about 25,000. Our call volume per year in 2019, we were just over 5,000 calls, and they were about 800 calls behind us at about 4,300 calls. And our staffing levels are about the same. We have 30 career members. They currently have 28, and we both share a part-time program. Actually, our part-time members currently work in both organizations. So they work across both borders. So very similar in a lot of ways, except geography. The city limits of Arlington are roughly 10 square miles, and the square mileage of North County's service area is about 120 square miles. So we mirror each other very similarly, except in geography. It's a strong partnership. As I mentioned earlier, the Arlington Fire Department and North County Regional Fire currently share a medical services administrator, that is Chief Chris Dickinson, a fire marshal, that is Mike Makala, a community paramedic is Darren Reed, and we currently share a training software platform, and we do a lot of joint training together, as well as sharing part-time firefighter EMTs. So annexation will be more cost-effective for taxpayers. Finalizing this partnership through annexation would allow better deployment of personnel, improved training opportunities for firefighters, provide more emergency resources for city residents, and residents would not pay for ambulance transport in excess of insurance payments. So I'll touch on that for a moment. Currently, if I'm just going to use someone as an example here, Gene, if you called 911 and we responded up on French Street to your residence and we transported you to the hospital, we would bill your medical insurance for the transport. You're currently paying the EMS levy and the ambulance utility fee, but we would bill your insurance for that transport. Currently, the unpaid portion of that transport, our billing company will send you, if there is an unpaid balance, they will send you an invoice for that unpaid balance. If you, in North County, if you are a resident of the fire district, the unpaid balance is written off. So this is kind of it's a pretty good win for the community, in that the amount that your insurance does not pay, or in some cases, if the transport is just not paid at all, they just write that service off as just because you're a member of the community and you're already paying those taxes. If you live outside the RFA, like if you're in an automobile accident and you happen to be within our geographical area and we transport you, then you pay those fees. But if you live inside the RFA, you don't pay anything more than your insurance company pays. Avoids duplication and additional costs. So it will reduce some administrative personnel over time, and we'll be able to share some emergency personnel. So there's times where, and this happens all the time, where maybe we have our staff and we have one or two people off on vacation, and then we have somebody call out sick. That creates an overtime situation because we have to fill that seat. And it could be that our neighbor next door to us has additional staffing that day because they didn't have anyone, maybe they only had one person off on vacation, and so they're running a little heavy, that we say. And so we can move those people around. So there'll be some operational costs that will incur, overtime being the biggest, and that we can kind of move people around where they're needed instead of hiring back on overtime. Long-term, future capital needs such as fire stations, apparatus, and equipment would be shared by more people. That's a nice win. And annexation maintains local control. I mentioned when I started that the city was in discussions with Marysville back in 2017, and this is really why those discussions failed. Is the city, and I'll give Paul and the mayor credit for this, is they just did not feel that that was in the city's best interest. But annexation maintains control. The North County Regional Fire Authority is governed by a board of fire commissioners elected by voters in its service area. City residents would be eligible to run for commissioner seats, vote for fire commissioners, and vote on fire authority levies and bonds. And if the commissions the seats will be districted based on population. So Arlington will have several seats on the board right from the beginning, which will be great. Arlington will still have local firefighters participating in community events like the annual Santa Run that we just completed. We'll still have fire stations. We'll still have the same personnel. My hope in all of this is that if this is approved here in a few weeks, it becomes legally effective August 1st. But in the next few years, the community really doesn't notice any change. It's still the same people showing up, still the same fire stations, just legally we're operating from a revenue stream from a different source. Without annexation, the city will have to double the ambulance utility fee, as I mentioned. It's set to double in 2022. If annexation is approved, Arlington will reduce its general property tax levy and repeal the EMS levy and ambulance utility fee. So what will it all cost? This is really the nuts and bolts of it all. If approved by voters, annexation will be effective August 1st, 2021. Changes in property taxes will occur in 2022. And based on the most recent data, and this was just done about 6 to 8 weeks ago, the net financial result would be 54% of the property owners within the city limits would pay the same or less money. 28% would see an increase between $5 and $65 per month or $60 per year. And 18% of the homeowners within the city limits would see an increase greater than $5 per month. Without annexation, the city will have to double the ambulance utility fee and increase its EMS levy to meet the rising cost to provide fire and EMS. And there's a calculator. If you go to the city's website, you can click on this link and you can kind of use the calculator to kind of figure out what it would cost you as an individual property owner. So the timeline, October 26th to November 2nd, we did public meetings on the annexation proposal. November 2nd, the city council passed the resolution. So now we're just doing a lot of public education, a lot of virtual meetings like this. The ballots will be mailed on January 22nd. And the actual date of the election is February 9th. If it's approved, it will take effect August 1st of 2021. So kind of excited about that. And really this discussion, though some people, as I've been talking, they're like, well, how long has this discussion been going on? And if you go back to the Marysville discussions, it's been going on for 3 years, but really with North County, it's been going on since early 2018. So I'm happy to kind of answer any questions. Paul, you've been part of this from the beginning, back even in the Marysville discussions. Anything that I kind of left out?
No, I think you covered it really well. Actually, Dave, thinking back far, as you were talking, I was thinking about this, and if you remember, we did the matrix study back in 2013, which recommended annexing, combining fire departments in order to get the efficiency of synergy of a larger organization. At the time, we were prohibited by law to be able to even think about it with North County because we're neighbors, but we didn't have enough boundary together, which is why the conversations with Marysville started when they did. And we didn't look at North County, it just wasn't allowed. But the legislature changed those rules in 2018, which allowed us to enter into conversations with North County. And I think we knew back in 2013 that it was a better partnership. We match better than we do with the city of Marysville. And of course, spending the last year working through it, we found out that to be true, that the organizations match up really well.
Very good. Happy to answer any questions, or if not, we put together a great video, and I'll give AJ credit. She's her and her partner Liz have been part of this the last 6 months or so. AJ, I'm going to say, and AJ played a large part in putting this video together, which we used another Rotarian, Chris Kuhn, with a huge production.
Dave?
Yeah.
Campbell, you talked about cost outside of your control. Are those mostly manpower, negotiated cost with unions? Is that the major driver that's causing the cost increase? Looks to me like about 800,000 more a year as you took that graph, and it was reduced about 800,000 more each year on the fund balance.
Yeah, for sure. Labor is the biggest one, Bob. Labor is about runs 80 to 85% of my budget. But then as the community grows, we're going to have needs for additional equipment. So we're going to add an additional basic life support unit in 2022. So just round figures, I mean, it's a $200,000 unit, and then staffing to outfit it.
How and if at all can North County affect those two elements?
So we have the nice thing. So currently we have engine 46, which is housed down at station 46 behind the hardware store, and ladder 48, which is out at Smoky Point. Those are our two suppression units, and we have just one reserve unit, which is here at the building where I'm at, and it's a 1996 fire engine. We don't even get credit for it on our insurance survey rating anymore because it's expired in age. Essentially, from an insurance survey rating standpoint, they say that vehicle is too old, it shouldn't be in service. We have a need to get some additional equipment. If we combine with North County, we're able to share that equipment. So they actually have more reserve equipment than we do. And so it's kind of a win for the taxpayers in that we can just combine that, because a reserve unit is just used if something goes out of service. So if a frontline unit goes out, a reserve unit is used. So we'll be able to share some of those costs.
Hey, Dave, or any of the other rural fire departments talking at all, like Arlington Heights and Oso? And
yes, great question. When these discussions started with Arlington and North County Fire District 21, which also referred to as Arlington Rural, so it's kind of a unique shape, but essentially about it surrounds about 2/3 to 3/4 of the city of Arlington. They reached out and said they would like to be part of the discussion also. The consultant that we use that have done most, if not all, of the RFAs in the state of Washington advised against that. If you look at the couple RFAs that have failed in the state of Washington since the legislature created the language, they're when more than two entities come together at one time. It's kind of the model that everyone is using is let two agencies come together and then add another agency to it. So I definitely foresee Fire District 21 becoming part of this in the not too distant future.
Hey, Dave, I had a question on your count of calls, like 5,000 a year. Does that include the contractual stuff with 21 in the south end?
It does. That is all calls that we run, Gene. So that would be if we respond to Marysville mutual aid, that's counted in that 5,033 number.
Okay.
Dave, is the ambulance waiver for residents, if one of us are visiting AJ out in the country and we have a heart attack, and you haul me from there, do I get charged?
Yeah, it's based on the address where you live, Dave. You're in good shape. Any other questions? Timing is perfect. This video is just about 4 minutes long, and we're really happy with the way this turned out, because our goal was, if somebody didn't know anything, could they watch this and at least have an idea of what we're trying to do? And I've gotten some really good feedback that it does do that. I'm going to bring that up. Did everybody see that?
Not yet.
Oh,
No?
No,
There you go.
there it is.
Yes? AJ, can you see that?
Yeah, it's
Yep, I
kind
can
of
see
quiet.
it.
hey, you don't have any audio.
Let me pause it. So it's crooked?
Yeah, we don't hear the sound.
Okay, let me turn up my audio. Those are the voters will be asked to consider. I'm Arlington Fire Chief Dave Kraski, and I'm here to talk to you about the Arlington Fire Department and the annexation proposal the voters will be asked to consider. In February, residents of the city of Arlington will get to vote on annexing the city's fire department to our neighboring fire authority, North County Regional Fire Authority. North County is our neighbor to the north and west, a fire authority that formed when Fire Districts 14 and 18 combined in 2008, and then the city of Stanwood voted to join in 2018. The Arlington Fire Department and North County Regional Fire Authority currently share a medical services officer, fire marshal, a community resource paramedic, training programs, and part-time emergency personnel. Finalizing this partnership through annexation has a number of important benefits from my perspective. It would immediately allow better deployment of personnel, improve training opportunities for firefighters, and provide more emergency resources for city residents. Over time, annexation will reduce the need for more administrative staff and emergency personnel. Annexation is more efficient for taxpayers long-term because capital needs such as fire stations, apparatus, and equipment would be cost shared by more people. I've lived here most of my life, and I'm proud to be your fire chief. I know that quality emergency services are important to our community. Having participated in the budgeting process, it is clear that the city of Arlington is struggling to fund fire and emergency medical services and other services residents want, such as police, roads, parks, trails, and community facilities. Costs outside the city's control are rising faster than the revenue available to provide these services, and fire and emergency medical services are the most expensive services that the city provides. Fire and emergency medical services costs alone would exceed all property tax revenues the city collects if it were not for an EMS levy and an ambulance utility fee. As emergency services costs continue to increase, the city is asking voters to annex the Arlington Fire Department to the North County Regional Fire Authority. This will protect emergency service levels and leave revenue for other city services that contribute to our quality of life in Arlington. Arlington is one of only 3 remaining city-run fire departments in Snohomish County. Many fire departments are coming together to form or join regional fire authorities like we are proposing. Currently, all property owners pay a property tax levy to the city for fire, EMS, and other services. They also pay a dedicated EMS levy, and all utility customers pay an ambulance utility fee. This fee was designed as a temporary funding solution for emergency services until a permanent solution, such as annexation, could be found. If voters approve annexation, property owners would pay a dedicated fire levy and an EMS levy directly to the North County Regional Fire Authority. This agency is a separate taxing district. North County Regional Fire Authority is governed by a board of fire commissioners elected by voters in the service area. City residents would be eligible to run for commissioner seats, vote for fire commissioners, and vote on fire authority levies and bonds. Arlington would still have fire stations in the city, fire prevention programs in the schools, and our local firefighters participating in community events, including the annual Santa Run food drive. All staff and emergency personnel will become employees of the North County Regional Fire Authority. If annexation is approved, Arlington will reduce its general property tax levy, repeal the EMS levy, and repeal the ambulance utility fee. The city would retain some property tax revenue for other services the community wants. If approved, when annexation takes effect in 2022, the net financial result that year would be that 54% of the homeowners would pay the same or less money. 28% would see an increase up to $5 per month or $60 per year, and 18% would see an increase greater than $5 per month. Without annexation, the city is budgeted to double the ambulance utility fee and plans to increase its EMS levy to meet the rising costs to provide fire and emergency medical services. Property owners can compare what they would pay with the annexation calculator. Thank you for considering our annexation to the North County Regional Fire Authority. Thoughts, any questions?
That was a great presentation. Made it easy for everybody to understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. Terrific. Timing wise, the goal is always 1:15, so we're right there.
Perfect.